Hello, my name is Dr. Mukesh Chauhan. Today's presentation is on Bigelow consciousness essay. What is Bigelow consciousness essay? Well, Robert Bigelow is an aeronautic space scientist engineer and in Nevada, USA, and he had announced a competition to discover if consciousness survives death. In other words, what happens to consciousness after death? That was his special interest, and he had announced prize money for it. There was a certain format to be followed, which scientists did, including myself, and the essays were submitted, and then the winners were announced. Well, first and foremost to say is it's a very noble gesture of Robert Bigelow to even think about such a high subject as consciousness. Consciousness is really, at the moment in the scientific world, the most important subject because scientists can't find it. So scientists can't find consciousness despite spending billions of dollars in search. They're mapping the entire human brain, but they still can't pinpoint human consciousness. And this has led many to assume that there's no consciousness or that human brain is conscious. In other words, they're saying it's an evolving or emerging problem. So one neuron is not conscious, lots of them together connects together, interconnect, connect, and relate to form consciousness. Well, so far scientists can't find a separate space for consciousness in human brain. So part of the format was very eminent scientists were selected to act as judges of the competition, and Robert Bigelow had no say in the competition at all. He had no viewing, no competition, no say in it, and he was left to the judges to announce the winners, which is a very commendable thing as well. So the question arises, what is the importance of consciousness which survives human death? Now, to me, let me make it abundantly clear. I have made three beautiful discoveries in life. The first discovery I made is I found the creator of our universe. The second discovery I made is I found God. And the third discovery I made is I found the structure of consciousness. These three discoveries changed my life completely, but it was not easy. It took me 14 years of search to find creator of our universe. The most important thing, which I say and do remember, it is not my intention to criticize any of the judges because judges do a wonderful job and the applicants I've seen, they've done some wonderful essays and are to be congratulated for presenting such a difficult subject well. And I've got nothing but praise for both the judges. To judge is not easy. Judgment says a lot about the judges. So my question is, I have discovered the structure of consciousness. I've discovered the entire subquantum level space of human consciousness. And I've written about it, and yet there was no mention of my name in the competition. That's okay. We're not interested in names. I'm interested in elevating the standard and the delivery of knowledge of consciousness. I want to enlighten people with my take, my knowledge, my scientific discovery of consciousness. I had searched for consciousness. That's why I can say with conviction. Now, the first question which nobody asked, and none of the judges had even thought about it, is who has made consciousness? To me, that's the most pertinent question. Who has made consciousness? Remember, even Einstein had said the most important thing, if you had 1 hour to live, was to spend 55 minutes asking the right question. And once you ask the right question, the answer will follow. The rest is easy. I asked the most difficult question: who has made the universe? And I had used the consciousness as the basis of my asking that question. I didn't know then in those days that Creator was listening to me. everything which I was doing and trying to find out about consciousness, creator knew about it and was propelling me in a journey, which took a long time, 14 years to find creator, and now in my 30th year. So to know what is consciousness or what departs from human body at the time of death, one needs to know what is consciousness. What is the structure of human consciousness? I aver that while I read wonderful presentations, that not a single person or a scientist or an academic or a philosopher knows what is the structure of consciousness. So how can they adjudicate in an essay where they don't know what is departing from human body? The rest is conjecture. I see beautiful video presentations, I see beautiful slide presentations of a variety of knowledges, but none of them are hitting the nail on the head. They don't know what departs from human body at the time of death. In fact, I'll go even further. It's more than a flat ECG and an EEG. What is it that actually departs at the time of death? They don't know it. They don't know it. This is why I have no hesitation saying is empirical science does not know what is consciousness. It may seem like harsh, but it's the truth. Because the nature of consciousness is such that you cannot know it from a physical level. And all the scientists, while wonderfully dedicated and the efforts are to be congratulated, do not know the structure of consciousness because they are starting from the wrong end of the stick. They're starting from the wrong aspect of consciousness. The most important thing about consciousness is, in my opinion, the reason why scientists cannot nail consciousness is because they are looking at consciousness and the knowledge and the research from the third perspectives, third person perspective, as opposed to my approach, which is completely different, was from a first person perspective. I knew there had to be some consciousness inside human brain, and I focused on that. My source was to find that little baby somewhere in the human brain. And I did find it, and I worked on that day in, day out for a long time from my surgery in London. Now, so we are miles apart. If the scientists are working from A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I'm working from Z, I have discovered consciousness from the source. What is consciousness is made up from or of. Consciousness is made up of quantum code consciousness. In other words, consciousness is a structure, it is a function, it is a various tiered subject. Tier's subatomic structure, which also reflects in the human brain, in the three different tiers of human physical brain. And scientists are looking at the physical brain and physical aspects of brain, despite all the knowledge and the video presentations, they do not know that consciousness is immaterial. Consciousness is immaterial. You can't see consciousness like that. You need a special technique to see consciousness. Now, until they know, and again, do remember, it was for this quantum code consciousness discovery, in 2020 year, I was nominated for a Nobel Prize by 3 universities, Gujarat State, India. Although I'm from London, I was temporarily in India because of the COVID, and I was here as well. And suffice it to say that my approach was from the finest subquantum level. I have seen the finest structure. I have seen the finest neutrinos and photons and quantum photons and electrons and quarks. I've seen them live. I've seen how atoms form. I've seen how consciousness provides a substratum of everything inside human physical brain, which is a beautiful relay system. Brain is not conscious. it has some aspects of consciousness, but the source of consciousness is much deeper. It's much deeper. This quantum code is coded. It's coded. You know as well as I do that if you're looking at a web browser, then behind that web browser, if you right-click on the mouse, you will find that there's a source code. And the browser which you see, the page you see, is a visible manifestation of the invisible code on which the browser is written. Like that, human consciousness and human body has a code. You will right-click on that mouse, but which mouse? Which mouse? You can't see the mouse. You can't hold any computers or mobile phones to see this. So there's a technique of doing it. There's a technique of doing that, and you see that quantum code consciousness, which is the program on which the entire human body functions. So you've got to go through a series of backends to discover this code. And this is what none of the scientists and wonderful applicants who have written know about it. So they don't know the structure of it. They don't know how it functions. They don't know what it looks like. And I've seen it, and I'm revealing the finest details, and I'm revealing the code, and I'm revealing how each life is coded. What happens in this life is not going to happen in the next life. What's going to happen in the next life is not going to happen in the life after that. How many lives does a human being have? So this was one of the pet subjects which I had. I wanted to know what happens after death and before rebirth. What happens to consciousness? Where does it go? Who looks after it? Who decides when it comes back in a human body? And these were the sort of things which were puzzling me. And I wanted to have more answers. In the multiverse we live in, I've discovered the secrets about what happens to consciousness, the various tiers of life after death. And even more importantly, Creator has made entire universe